All right, welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into a story that's just captivated so many people. Taylor Swift's fight for her music.
Yeah, it's huge.
It really is. And it's more than just, a pop star story. It's like a masterclass in strategy, in ownership, reclaiming your creative work.
Totally. Imagine pouring everything into something you create, right? Every lyric, every note.
Your whole identity, basically.
Exactly. And then someone tells you, sorry, you don't actually own that.
It's like the ultimate nightmare for any creator, isn't it?
It really is. And it happens all the time in so many fields.
Yeah.
But Taylor Swift, she didn't just accept it. She decided to flip the whole script.
And how? What she did was, revolutionary, taking this huge personal loss and turning it into this, $360 million strategy across 6 albums, all through re-recording.
Unapologetically re-recording. It's incredible.
And that's exactly why we're diving deep today. We're looking at Taylor Swift not just as this, massive pop icon,
right,
but as a disruptor, a strategist. She's become this powerful symbol, really, for creative ownership now.
Absolutely. Our mission here is to kind of unpack how she managed it, how she took this devastating setback.
Both personal and professional, right?
Oh, completely. And turned it into a move that didn't just change her career, it fundamentally shifted the rules in the music industry for everyone.
Okay, so let's set the scene. The core problem. Remind us exactly how that started.
Right. So you got to go back to 2019. That's when the news broke that Scooter Braun's company, Ithaca Holdings.
Right, the big music mogul.
Yeah. They acquired Big Machine Records, and that deal, it was around $300 million. Huge money.
Okay.
But the crucial part, the part that just hit so hard, was that the deal included the master recordings for Taylor's first 6 albums.
Everything from her debut up to Reputation, her entire foundation.
Her entire foundation. Gone, just like that, in a business deal. And for her, this wasn't just like numbers on a page. She called it a violation of personal sovereignty.
That's powerful language. It really shows how personal it was.
Deeply personal. These weren't just tracks. They were her life, her stories.
And the outcome. It's almost unbelievable when you lay it out. By mid-2025, she'd not only started this massive re-recording project,
releasing 4 of the 6 Taylor's version albums already.
But she'd also engineered this huge master buyback deal with Shamrock Capital. $360 million.
Getting those original masters back, essentially, and ignited this global fan movement. Nobody had ever mobilized fans quite like that.
And pulled off a strategy nobody dared try at that scale before.
Exactly. It's unprecedented.
So this deep dive, it really goes beyond just the music charts, doesn't it?
Oh, way beyond. It's like a blueprint for anyone, really, who feels like they need to reclaim their own story, their value, their voice.
Makes you ask that question, right? What would your Taylor's version look like?
What part of your life or your work or maybe even your past needs you to kind of re-own it, redefine it on your own terms?
Okay, so to really get how she did this, we need to start with the financial side, the mindset behind it all. It kind of crystallized in that moment, didn't it? November 2019, the AMAs.
Yeah, that was huge. Standing on stage, looking genuinely shaken and just saying it outright, I don't own my music.
Chilling, especially from someone who built an empire on songs that felt so deeply personal, so hers.
It really shone a spotlight on this almost standard practice in the industry, especially for young artists starting out.
The norm, right?
The norm. Like countless others, she'd signed away her master recordings way back when she signed with Big Machine.
And just to clarify for everyone, master recordings, that's the actual final sound file you hear, right? The thing on Spotify.
Exactly. What you stream, what you buy. It's distinct from the publishing rights.
Which she did own.
Right. Publishing covers the song itself, the lyrics, the melody, the structure. The artist usually keeps those, or a big share. But the labels, they traditionally owned the masters because they funded the recording sessions, the production, all that.
Gotcha. So the conflict really blew up when Scooter Braun bought Big Machine, and suddenly he owned those first 6 albums masters.
Yeah, and these weren't just any albums. These were the albums that defined her. Her country roots, her pop transition, her entire journey.
All those songs full of, like you said, memories, heartbreaks, the stories her fans grew up with, and now controlled by someone she saw as, an antagonist.
And that's the key. For her, it wasn't just a bad business deal. It felt like a violation, like someone else holding the keys to her diary, her history.
The idea that someone else could decide how those stories were used or not used.
Unacceptable. It was an integrity issue, plain and simple.
What's wild is, like you said, most artists in that spot, they just kind of shrug. It's the game.
Yeah.
The label puts up the cash. They take the masters. End of story.
It's the cost of doing business, historically.
But Taylor wasn't playing that game. What made her decide to break from that norm so radically?
It boiled down to this incredibly audacious question she asked herself. What if I re-recorded everything?
Just like that. Which must have sounded crazy at first.
Oh, completely irrational to most people. Think about the scale. Recreating 6 entire albums. The cost alone, millions.
Plus the risk, right? Confusing fans. Maybe people wouldn't even listen to the new ones.
Exactly. Splitting her audience, maybe even ticking off people attached to the originals. It seemed like a massive gamble against all conventional wisdom.
But she wasn't thinking short term, was she?
No, not at all. Her focus was long-term leverage. She was playing the long game, thinking about her legacy decades from now, controlling her narrative, securing future revenue.
And she had that ace up her sleeve, the publishing rights.
Crucial. Because she owned the underlying songs, legally, she could make new recordings of them. And crucially, she would own those new masters 100%. No permission needed from the old label.
She just needed the commitment.
The commitment. And as the sources say, she had that in spades. Her dedication was absolute.
And this is where those standard industry contracts usually stop artists, right?
Yeah.
The re-record restrictions.
Exactly. Most contracts have clauses preventing artists from re-recording for like 5, 7, sometimes even more years after the original release or the contract ends. It protects the label's investment.
But for Taylor?
Because of how her original deal was structured and the timing of everything, she hit this window where those restrictions were either expiring or just didn't apply to her earliest work. It was this unique confluence of legal timing and her own patience, really.
That's fascinating. It wasn't just defiance, it was strategic timing. And she executed it. By mid-2025, 4 Taylor's version albums were out. Fearless, Red, Speak Now, 1989.
And these weren't just quick copies. They were meticulous recreations. You listen to Fearless, Taylor's version, and yeah, the voice is more mature, but the emotion is still there. The instrumentation feels richer.
And the vault tracks. That was genius.
Oh, from the vault tracks were brilliant. Songs written back then, but never released. It gave fans something totally new, a peek behind the curtain, while still being tied to the original era, plus all the Easter eggs.
Made each release an event.
A huge event. And the fans. The Swifties. Their response was just unprecedented.
They didn't just listen, they mobilized.
It was almost militant. They actively campaigned for people to only stream Taylor's version, boycotting the originals. It became this collective mission, a statement of solidarity.
Taking a stand with her.
Exactly. It wasn't just about music anymore.
And the financial results are just staggering. Forbes, KSBY News, saying over $8.5 million a month just from streaming the re-records.
Per month. That's over $100 million a year from streaming alone on assets she fully controls.
And then you add in that $360 million Shamrock Capital deal, buying back the original masters. It's one of the most successful and symbolic financial plays in music history.
Truly, it's a masterclass in asset reclamation.
But like you said, the money, while huge, isn't the whole story.
Not even close. The deeper win here is how she redefined what ownership means. Not just for her, but for all traders.
It wasn't just about the bottom line.
No. For her, owning her masters was about integrity, continuity, legacy. It was her saying, loud and clear, I know my worth, I know my voice, and nobody else gets to rewrite my story.
Which is such a contrast to how the industry often treats artists, right? Like they're disposable, their work just a commodity.
Exactly. And she chose permanence. She decided to play for forever in a world obsessed with quick hits and trends. It elevates ownership from just a legal thing to something deeply personal, almost spiritual.
So the big takeaway from this whole financial mindset part.
It's that true wealth, lasting wealth, isn't just about earning. It's about owning and protecting what you own.
And she showed how you can turn what looks like a loss, a liability,
losing her masters,
into the catalyst for creating something even more valuable, something totally under your control, an appreciating asset.
Precisely. She didn't just recover, she rebuilt stronger.
It really makes you think, what part of your work, your contribution, are you maybe giving away too easily just because that's how it's done?
Are you building something temporary or something enduring that you truly control? Powerful stuff.
Okay, so that financial commitment, that focus on legacy, it wasn't just an idea. It became this incredible career strategy, this massive wealth-building engine. But initially, people were skeptical, weren't they?
Oh, absolutely. When she first announced the re-recording plan, even loyal fans were stunned. People wondered, is this just nostalgia? Is it a gimmick, a symbolic protest?
Could she even pull it off? Could she capture that early magic again?
Yeah.
Singing songs from when she was a teenager.
Right. Would fans actually care enough to switch? Would radio play the new versions? There was a lot of doubt swirling around.
But it wasn't about literally recreating the past, was it? You said she was reframing it.
Exactly, reframing. It was a highly calculated career strategy. Honestly, one of the boldest, most creative wealth-building moves in modern music. And the genius was in how she layered her leverage. 3 key layers.
Okay, later one.
Layer 1, legal leverage. That publishing loophole we talked about, she didn't own the original recordings, the masters.
But she owned the songs themselves. Lyrics, melody.
Crucial distinction. That gave her the legal right to make new recordings. As long as they weren't absolutely identical note for note, she could perform them, record them, release them.
And once Taylor's version existed?
Total control. She could license her version for movies, ads, TikTok, whatever she wanted. $0 went back to the owners of the original masters.
It's like she cloned her own IP, made it better, and then convinced everyone to stop buying the original.
That's a great analogy. She built a parallel supply chain that she owned completely, starving the original one. Genius.
Okay, layer 2.
Layer 2. Fan activation. Turning that community into actual capital. Because a brilliant strategy means nothing if nobody follows.
Right. She knew her fans.
She knew they weren't just casual listeners. They were emotionally, almost ideologically invested in her story, her fight. So she activated them masterfully.
With the coded messages, the vault tracks, the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Yep. Made every re-release feel like this huge shared event, a cause, a collective stand against the perceived injustice. It wasn't just streaming, it was participation.
And it worked like crazy.
Unprecedented results. Fans actively boycotted the originals, pushed Taylor's version everywhere, getting Love Story, Taylor's version, and especially All Too Well 10-minute version to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100.
Which had never happened with re-recorded music before. Ever.
Never. It showed the raw power of that activated fan base.
And the streaming numbers back it up. Spotify's 2024 data, over 2.5 billion streams for the Taylor's versions.
Billion with a B, translating to like $36 million plus annually, revenue directly in her pocket, no label cut on the master side. Just shows you what happens when your community acts.
Okay, so legal leverage, fan activation, layer 3.
Layer 3. Asset rebuilding. This wasn't just about nostalgia, it was about building a whole new asset class, a more valuable one.
By rebranding the albums?
Exactly. Yeah. That simple Taylor's version tag.
Right.
It wasn't just informational, it was a brand, a statement of ownership. It fused IP, branding, legacy, authenticity, all into one mark.
So she took this emotional gut punch.
Losing control of her past work.
And literally turned it into a new asset potentially worth more than the originals ever were under the old deal, transforming loss into value.
By 2025, it was clear. Her re-recording catalog was more profitable under her control than the originals had been under Big Machine. A total shift in power and profit.
It's just this incredible blend of like raw emotion driving it, but then hyper-focused execution making it happen.
Exactly. It wasn't just a legal trick. It was deep personal motivation combined with meticulous planning and just insane work ethic.
She didn't just demand it, she earned it.
Earned it. 12-hour days in the studio, painstakingly redoing vocals from, 2008 to get that exact emotional feel. She was clear. This wasn't revenge. It was vision.
So the lesson from this whole strategy
is that your past work, it's not dead history. It holds potential. It can be rebuilt, rebranded, turned into a future powerhouse asset.
if you have the guts to start over on your terms.
That's the key. The courage to redefine it yourself.
Which leads to that question for everyone listening. What old work of yours, a project, a skill, maybe even an old idea, deserves a second look, a second life? But this time, fully on your terms. How could you reframe it?
Yeah, what deserves its own your version tag? Great question.
Okay, we've hit the finance, the strategy, but beneath all that are the habits, right? The unique behaviors. It's too easy just to say marketing genius.
Oh, way too easy. That label misses the real story. The truth is deeper. It's in the discipline, the precision, this almost obsessive focus on creative integrity.
That's what powered the whole re-recording engine.
Absolutely. It wasn't just about contracts. It was about these fundamental behaviors.
When she started re-recording, people probably expected, just a quick re-sing.
Yeah, maybe a basic polish. But her approach was totally different. She treated every single re-recorded album like it was a brand new project, demanding the same level of care, maybe even more.
You said she didn't just re-sing You Belong With Me.
Yeah.
She re-felt it, relived it.
Exactly. Think about that. months of rehearsal, studying her own 19-year-old voice's inflections from the original tapes, not just to mimic it.
But to respect the original emotion, to make it feel authentic.
Right. She even talked about how hard that was reproducing the little imperfections, the vocal cracks from her early work, emotionally taxing, technically demanding.
Why focus on the imperfections?
Because she believed, deep down, that the fans would feel the difference if it wasn't right. If the emotional honesty wasn't there, it wasn't about technical perfection. It was about emotional fidelity. That fierce commitment to the craft itself, that's rare.
And her control went way beyond the vocals, too.
Oh, yeah. She was overseeing everything, the mixing, the arrangements, the liner notes, ensuring it all felt cohesive.
Bringing back original musicians.
Yeah, creating that continuity, and then adding the vault tracks.
Which weren't just leftovers. They felt strategic.
Totally strategic. They acted like emotional bridges, blending that nostalgia fans craved with the excitement of something new, made each album feel both familiar and fresh.
And the visuals, too. The whole aesthetic for each era.
Meticulously reimagined. The cover art, the fonts, the colors, everything told a story, connecting back to the original era, but with a mature, refined look. Like with Red, Taylor's version, that whole autumn heartbreak vibe, but elevated.
Creating this whole world for fans to step back into.
Exactly, an immersive experience, and the fans dove right in.
Became detectives, basically. Analyzing everything.
Every lyric, every music video frame, every Instagram post, looking for clues, Easter eggs.
Which wasn't an accident.
Not at all. She designs that fan experience like an intricate game, and her audience loves playing it, obsessively. That fuels so much organic buzz.
And the result, this cultural virality without needing to chase trends.
Exactly. You had songs from 2008 like Love Story blowing up on TikTok in 2024, a whole new generation discovering them.
And All Too Well. 10-minute version. It became this whole cultural moment. Short films, academic papers.
Legal think pieces. It wasn't just reviving old songs. She was embedding them back into the current cultural conversation, making them feel timeless.
So the deeper pattern here, she's not chasing relevance. She's curating timelessness.
Perfectly put. And she does it through these unseen habits, the late nights, the relentless editing, the 3 a.m. fan interactions, the handwritten notes to Spotify, the footnoted journal entries.
Feel glamorous.
It's obsessive. But that obsession, that's the key. That's why she's outlasted so many pop cycles.
So her genius isn't just magic.
It's repetition, refinement, radical ownership, done with incredible consistency and scale.
Which gives us a really powerful lesson from her habits.
Yeah, excellence isn't some big bang. It's 1,000 tiny decisions made with care, under pressure, no shortcuts allowed. It's about the craft, day in, day out.
Makes you ask yourself, do you have a craft? Something you approach with that level of integrity? Or are you just, shipping content?
And the kicker, would you redo your best work years later just to make it truly, fully yours? That's a tough question about commitment.
Okay, so finance, strategy, habits. But underpinning it all is her philosophy, right? Her decision-making. This whole re-recording thing, it wasn't just business, it was a stand.
A deep philosophical stand about agency, about having control over your own narrative, your own work.
Most artists, if they feel wrong, they might negotiate, compromise.
Try to work within the system. But Taylor, she didn't try to negotiate with the system that failed her. She chose to build her own system instead, right alongside it.
And that became clear with that offer from Big Machine back in 2019, right? The one where she could earn back her albums.
Exactly. Stay with the label, keep making new albums for them, and maybe, just maybe, you can earn back the rights to your old work, one album at a time.
Sounds okay on the surface, maybe? A path back.
To some, maybe. But Taylor saw it instantly for what it was. A trap.
A trap dressed up as a compromise. And her words about it were so revealing. They told me I could earn back my work album by album if I behaved.
That word again.
Behaved.
That was the deal breaker. It wasn't about music anymore. It was about power, obedience, control. And Taylor Swift, whose whole artistic identity is built on independence and speaking her truth, she was not going to behave her way into getting permission to own her own life's work, especially not from people she felt betrayed her.
So she walked away. From the label, the comfort, the whole familiar structure.
An immense decision, but it wasn't impulsive. It was purely values-based.
Yeah.
She fundamentally believes that art without ownership is performance without identity.
Right.
For her, it was better to rebuild everything from scratch than to essentially lease her own past from people she didn't trust. It was radical long-term thinking in a very short-term industry.
And let's not downplay the risk. This was not a safe move.
Not even close. The logistics alone were staggering. Re-recording 6 albums while still releasing brand new music.
Lover, Folklore, Evermore, Midnight's, Tortured Poets Department.
Right. And mounting the biggest tour of all time, the Eras Tour. Under constant, intense global scrutiny. It's mind-boggling.
Plus, no guarantee fans would follow, or radio would play the new versions.
Or that there wouldn't be legal challenges, even with her publishing rights. Most contracts are designed to prevent exactly this kind of move.
But she didn't wait for legal certainty, did she?
No. She relied on something else. Emotional permission, permission from herself, rooted in her values, and permission from her fans, built on years of trust.
Her core philosophy seems to be that ownership isn't just legal, it's moral.
Exactly. It's about honoring your voice, your integrity, even when it's incredibly difficult and uncertain. Decisions coming from that place of personal alignment, not just spreadsheets.
And she seems unusually self-directed for someone at her level?
Unnervingly self-directed, yeah. In an age of heavily managed celebrity brands, she writes her own letters, her speeches, decides how to engage. That clarity of action, it comes from clarity of belief.
Like that quote she uses often.
I want to own my work. I believe artists deserve to own their work. Simple, direct.
But it's more than a slogan for her.
It's a compass. Every big move since 2019, the surprise albums, directing films, the re-records themselves, it all tracks back to that core belief. Not driven by market pressure, but by internal, moral, long-term alignment.
And that kind of integrity.
Yeah.
It doesn't make things easier, does it?
Makes them harder, often. You reject the easy compromises. But it makes the decisions more durable, more authentic, more powerful in the long run.
So the lesson from her philosophy
is that you don't always need more options. You need clearer values. The right choice isn't always the most profitable or convenient now. It's the one that aligns with who you are, making future choices clearer.
Which leads to that tough question for everyone. What have you said yes to just because it was easy or expected? When your gut, your values were whispering no, what shifts if you prioritize alignment?
Really makes you think.
Okay, so she's got the philosophy, the strategy. But how does she translate that into such massive social influence? The kind that actually changes things. It wasn't just typical artist promotion.
No, far from it. Most artists build influence through exposure tours, press, radio play, tailor-built systems of meaning. Her influence became ideological, not just musical.
How so?
Well, with the re-releases, she wasn't just saying, stream my new song. She was implicitly, and sometimes explicitly, asking fans to choose sides. Do you support the artist, the creator, or the corporation that just bought the asset?
And they chose her.
Overwhelmingly. Because she'd spent years building that trust, making them believe in her voice, her narrative.
And she really understood this shift in the creator economy, didn't she?
Absolutely. Her fundamental insight, community is capital, that flips the whole power dynamic.
Meaning you don't need the gatekeepers as much.
Exactly. You don't need to chase headlines if you command attention directly. You don't need to beg platforms for promotion if your audience is the platform, amplifying your message themselves.
The Swifties as an active cultural engine.
Perfect description. When Red, Taylor's version, dropped, it wasn't just Taylor promoting it. Fans organized listening parties, created viral TikTok trends using her sounds, flooded streaming services.
Making decade-old songs global hits again.
Right. Not through ads, but through alignment. Emotional, generational, ideological alignment. That's powerful.
The all-too-well 10-minute version phenomenon is the perfect case study.
Totally. 10 minutes long. The opposite of radio-friendly. By industry logic, it should have been a niche fan track.
But it went to #1. Longest #1 song ever.
Because she didn't make it for the radio programmers. She made it for her people. She knew they craved that depth, that story. And her people mobilized and basically forced the system to pay attention. They proved fan power could override industry norms.
And her influence feels engineered somehow, not accidental.
Definitely engineered. Not loud, but intricate. All those months of clues before an album dropped, the hidden messages, the number puzzles.
The Easter eggs.
Right. It's not manipulation. It's engagement. She invites fans into the puzzle, makes them feel like co-conspirators, co-creators.
Which is why the re-records felt like rebellions, not remakes.
Exactly, a shared act of defiance. When you stream Taylor's version, you're doing more than listening. You're casting a vote. You're saying, I choose the artist. I choose integrity.
And this had real ripple effects on the industry itself.
Oh, huge. After her stan, you saw other artists, JoJo, Olivia Rodrigo, even legends like Def Leppard speaking out about ownership, considering re-recording. It started a crucial conversation.
And the labels reacted.
They reacted defensively, started putting much longer, stricter re-record restrictions in new contracts. That's proof positive they were shaken. That her move actually changed the game. And it all started with one artist deciding to think bigger than her contract.
It's systemic influence, not just social buzz.
She redefined the artist-fan relationship, made it transformational, not just transactional.
Well, the lesson on influence
Isn't just about follower count. It's about how many people are willing to act with you for something bigger, for a shared belief.
which prompts that final reflection. Are you building a fan base? Or are you building a movement? Do people just admire what you do? Or do they believe in what you stand for? Big difference.
A huge difference.
Okay, let's wrap this up by looking at maybe the most powerful part, her crisis strategy. How she navigated that initial explosion in 2019 and played the long game. When that news about Scooter Braun hit, the internet just melted down.
Total meltdown, outrage from fans, frantic speculation from the industry. It looked like a potentially career-ending crisis for her, losing control of her foundational work.
But her response wasn't immediate panic.
No, she paused, took a breath, and then she wrote. And that public letter she released. It wasn't just PR spin.
It was a manifesto.
Exactly. Calm, direct, but absolutely burning with this controlled fury, saying things like, this is my worst case scenario, and this is what happens when you sign away your rights.
A wake-up call for creators everywhere.
And for her, it was a line in the sand, a declaration of war fought on her terms.
Most artists facing that, what would they do?
The predictable routes. Lawyer up for years of fighting. Lash out publicly, maybe damage their own image. Or just feel defeated and walk away.
But she chose something different.
Riskier.
Much riskier. She decided she would outlast the system that hurt her. And she'd do it using her art as the weapon.
That's the core of the brilliance, isn't it?
I think so. Instead of getting stuck in a public feud or endless legal battles.
Which drain energy and money.
Right. She focused all that energy on creating something the contracts couldn't touch. Taylor's version. She reframed the entire problem. It wasn't just an injustice anymore. It was fuel for reinvention.
Turning weakness into strength.
She understood something profound. The most powerful response to a crisis isn't always control or reaction. It's creation. Channeling all that negative energy, the anger, the grief, into something productive and positive.
And it worked incredibly well. Every re-release shifted the story. Completely. Headlines went from controversy and victim to creativity and vision. Fans weren't doom-scrolling legal updates. They were celebrating vault tracks, decoding lyrics, streaming the new versions.
She took all that emotional momentum.
The anger, the nostalgia, the solidarity, and alchemized it into cultural capital. Not by accident, but by design, a formula. She didn't just survive the crisis. She used it as a launchpad.
Which is the definition of playing the long game.
Exactly. And look at the results. She reclaimed the economic value, sure, hundreds of millions in profits and licensing she now controls, but more than that.
She changed the industry, how contracts are negotiated, how fans view ownership, how platforms treat rights.
She forced the whole industry to confront that uncomfortable question. What happens when artists stop playing by the old rules and start building their own?
It was a seismic shift triggered by her response to a crisis.
She didn't just survive it, she converted it. Made it an inflection point, not a detour, but a whole new direction for her career and potentially the industry.
Because the long game.
Yeah.
It's not about winning the immediate battle.
It's about reshaping the whole playing field so the rules work for you long term.
Which gives us that final, powerful lesson. Every crisis presents a choice. A fork in the road. You can fight for what was, stay stuck in reaction.
Or you can use the crisis as fuel to create what will be, build the future you want.
Leading to that reflection, what if you stop just reacting to the crises in your own life or work? What if you use them strategically to build the system, the reality you've always wanted? How could that setback become your springboard?
Powerful question to end on.
So wrapping this all up, Taylor Swift didn't just get her masters back. She reclaimed the very idea of authorship.
Yeah. In a world that often treats creative work like just another commodity, stripping it of identity. She grew a hard line.
She showed that ownership isn't just a nice to have, a luxury. It's fundamental. It's a form of truth.
Right. Re-recording wasn't just nostalgia. It was her saying, this past wasn't fully mine until I made it mine, until I owned it completely.
That's the core, isn't it? It wasn't just about the money. It was about narrative control.
The right to say, this is my story. This is how it will be told. This is how I choose to be remembered.
And that idea, that commitment to owning your narrative, it goes way beyond music.
Oh, absolutely. It applies to how we write our own life stories, run our businesses, navigate relationships. We always have that choice. Let others define us or find the courage to reclaim our own voice.
And it's often a daily choice, not always some big dramatic fight.
Exactly. Small acts of agency.
Maybe Taylor's biggest legacy won't even be the songs, amazing as they are.
It might just be the blueprint she left for anyone who's ready to stop living inside someone else's story and finally start writing your own.
Because sometimes the most powerful version of you
Is the one no one owns but you.
So, as we finish this deep dive, just think about this. Have you ever made something, poured yourself into it, a project, a brand, maybe even just an idea, and then felt it slip away, felt like it wasn't really yours anymore?
Maybe a business concept someone else took over, or a job role that changed until it didn't fit, or even just a version of yourself you outgrew but didn't know how to leave behind.
That feeling, that's the core of Taylor's fight. It wasn't just about music rights. It was about authorship over identity, over her truth.
So the final question we leave you with is, what's your version? What part of your story, your work, yourself deserves to be re-recorded, re-owned, redefined fully on your terms?
Just take a second to acknowledge that for yourself. Maybe even say it out loud later. Because recognizing it, claiming that need, that might be the first step. That might be how your version begins.